All right, let's take a look at the negative exponent property. With this one, negative exponents, negative powers, we actually can not have those in an expression. It's not simplified. It's kind of like having a square root in the denominator or negative under square root and I squared. It's one of those things that we have to just clean up. So we cannot have a negative exponent expression, so we flip it and switch it. Okay, so here's what the definition says. A to the negative m equals 1 over a to the positive m. So if you have a negative power, any base a, you just go ahead and flip the fraction over, give the reciprocal of it. So a, 1 over a is the reciprocal, and then rewrite it with the positive power. Okay, so one of the most useful things to look at here would be just like 2 to the x. Okay, so if we evaluate 2 to the x when x is some different values, let's just go, let's say y equals 2 to the x, and we just make a quick little table. When x is 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, and -3. So if we just grab our calculator here, and we plug all these in. So all we're going to do is type in 3, or 2 to the third power. So 2 to the third is 8. Okay, so we get 8. 2 to the second power, I can do that in my head. 2 squared is 4. 2 to the first power, 2 to the first is 2. And then 2 to the 0 is always 1. Okay. Now check out what happens when we do 2 to the negative first power. 2 to the negative 1 power is going to give me 0.5, which as a fraction is 1/2. So when 2 to the negative 1/2 power is actually equal to 1/2. Okay, let's do 2 to the negative second power in a calculator. 2 to the negative second power, turn that into a fraction, is 1/4. Okay, so 1/4. And then 2 to the negative third power is, as a fraction, 1/8. And you can see that idea of flipping it over and switching it right there. What 2 to the third is 8. 2 to the negative third is 1/8. Okay, it's 1 over that number. Just rewrite it as a positive power. So one of the things you want to remember is that negative exponents do not make negative numbers. Negative exponents actually can make numbers really, really small. So it makes them 1 over some, number raised to a power. So let's take a look at some algebraic examples here. We got 3 times x to the negative second power. Now, with this one, the only thing that's actually directly attached to the negative power is the x. So the 3 is going to stay where it is, right? And you can always think of any expression as over 1 if there's no denominator. So the 3 is going to stay in the numerator, but the x to the negative second power needs to get flipped. So 3 stays in the top, x to the negative second goes down to the denominator as x to the positive second. You really just flip it over. Second example here, 5w is in the numerator. The denominator contains an x to the negative third. So that x to the negative third power needs to flip up into the numerator and become x to the positive third. Since everything down there flipped up to the top, technically it's over 1, but obviously we don't need to write that. We just leave it as 5wx cubes. All right, so there we go. Negative powers do not make negative numbers, but instead you flip it, switch it, rewrite it with a positive power, and simplify.